Welcome back, True Seeker. It is Thursday, April 24th, 2025. This broadcast is dedicated to at least a few truth seekers out there that are active participants in this channel. There's likely many other people who are in the same boat out there listening to this channel. Of course, in the world, there's many, many more people in this same boat. There's a word that social media does not like people to use, and it seems kind of funny because it's an important word to address because there's an epidemic right now around this word. And it's almost like social media is treating the word as if you say it, it'll make the problem happen more. But the word needs to be said so that it can be addressed. And a lot of people try to tiptoe around this word. Even I typically do because they say it automatically demotes your video just by mentioning the word. And that word is suicide. There's one young gentleman in this community. A lot of you know who he is. I'm not going to put his name out there. He's been a great contributor. He's made some great calls. And he is really thinking about doing it. And I've been talking to him behind the scenes about why I don't think that's the right choice. But just like anybody who's ever had that feeling, he's going through a lot of pain. And it's been dominoes in his life. The person he loves the very most in his life, he lost. Well, he's on the verge of losing. But then another thing that often puts people over the edge is a loved one or someone that they are in love with. And this young man, he doesn't live in the United States of America. He lives in a different part of the world. And where he lives, arranged marriage is still the common practice. And, even Sweet Lady, she's from Burma. Had she stayed in Burma, arranged marriage is still the common practice over there as well. But there's a young lady that he has feelings for. He's very much in love with her. They're friends. They enjoy being together. But she's communicated to him that her parents, it's just never going to happen in terms of marriage for those two because he's from the wrong religious group. He's not accomplished career-wise yet, and that's because they're both students. The parents want to set the young girl up that he's in love with, somebody who's more accomplished, an older man who already has a career and makes a good living. And essentially, it's a Romeo and Juliet story. And so I've been talking to him for some time about this and trying to help him navigate and say, well, maybe the ticket is to finish your schooling and get the career and maybe impress the parents. Maybe you'll never be in the right religious group, but if you can meet the other obstacle, the other hurdle, then perhaps, you'll be able to win over the parents so you can win the girl. And he was thinking that was the plan. And funny enough, it's almost like a movie. He's going to finish school in about a month. And just in recent times, the girl he's in love with, the parents found a suitor for her. And, they began the process. They're going to have her married to this other man who's older, who's got a career going. And our friend in our community, he's horribly distraught over this. He feels like she's the one and only. There'll never be another. And I'm sure a lot of people, people who are older now, they probably remember once upon a time, maybe the first love of their life, might have not worked out for whatever reason, and they might have felt like it was the end of the world. And now it might be 20, 30, 40 years later, and they look back at that, and they realize, it was just the beginning of their life, and yeah, it was disappointing for that relationship to not work out or go as planned, but because they persevered and went on, they ended up meeting somebody else, maybe even more suitable, even possibly a better match. And then, of course, I'm sure there's a story out there that for a lot of people as well, that there was a relationship that was almost the one, and somehow a mistake was made, or this or that happened, and it never worked out. And then they never met another that was quite as good of a match. I mean, I'm sure that story happens as well. But I'm someone who tends to think that, eh, you know, some people have this idea that uh, there's one special match out there for you and only one. There's only one person you are meant to be with, and you will find that person. And it's a real romantic way of thinking. And I'm not saying it's wrong, but just from my own life experience, someone who's been in quite a few relationships, and I've only been married once. Sweet lady and I have been together for well over a decade now, and married for almost as long. But again, I had some good girlfriends earlier in my life that would have been suitable for marriage and in a lifelong relationship, and it probably very well could have gone that way, and I would have been a happy person. But like a lot of young guys, I was always curious, and I always wanted another flavor, if you will, when I was younger, and I left a lot of good relationships and broke some hearts. And uh, I don't think it's that uncommon of a story. I think a lot of people, when they do take themselves out, when they quit the game early, I think oftentimes it does have to do with a romantic interest. And again, that's why there's that phrase out there too. There's a thin line between love and hate. Um, a lot of times too, murders are committed over things that have to do with romance. You find out your sweet lady is shacking up with the neighbor when you're not home. Uh-oh, might be a it might be a triple homicide. Um, those things happen too. I mean, these stories aren't that uncommon. I remember my sister's best friend. Uh, how much of a game of telephone? My sister's best friend's sister. That's what it is. My sister's best friend's sister. She was cheating on her husband. Her husband found out, and he came home and he took her out, and then he took himself out, and he did it with two children in the home. Uh, Again, all of these situations, though, I bet if there was a pause and a rewind button on life, I bet in almost all these situations, if it wasn't the heat of the moment, everyone would rewind and not do what they did. I mean, if that father could think about, wait a minute, what am I actually doing? Because I'm so angry right now. I'm creating a double homicide with my children downstairs watching a movie. Um, but yeah, anger is a real thing, and emotions cause people to do crazy things. If you've ever seen a graph of what human intelligence looks like when anger peaks, it's like, the anger's off the charts and your intelligence level's at an all-time low. Um, that's why it is important to have emotional awareness and realize that we all are kind of the same way and susceptible to the same things. And again, what's the phrase for it? I guess to get a grip in those moments, to take a breath, and sometimes that really can be the best thing to do, is just take a deep breath. But yeah, again, we got a young gentleman out there, very brilliant mind, and just going through the worst of time right now. He recently lost a loved family member, and he's got another family member that's very near their time, and he says that person means more to him than anything. So just really hard dominoes right now for him, losing the girl of his life, losing this close family member, and then his favorite family member on the verge of exiting the world as well. But again, if he can find the strength to persevere, usually the phrase, what doesn't kill you only makes you stronger, I think it's absolutely true. And it's funny that while he was while him and I have been communicating about this today, my little girl, she was going for a record nap As long as I'm holding her, she'll usually sleep for a good long while. But today she slept for almost 4 straight hours. And while she was just sleeping on my chest, I ended up binge watching this show that people have been telling me about for years that I've never watched. And it's the show Black Mirror. And one of the earliest episodes of that show, the actor's name escapes me right now, but he's in the Jordan. What was it? I forget. Is it Key or Pill? Yeah, one of them's become a movie maker, and one of his first films was about the darker complected people getting kidnapped, and they're doing hypnosis on these people and using them for all kinds of you know terrible purposes, if you will. If you haven't seen this movie, it's an interesting film. But the actor from that movie, the same one who gets hypnotized, the lady's doing the thing on the glass. If you've seen it, she's doing the thing on the glass and hypnotize him. He's in this skit for this Black Mirror episode. And it's about this futuristic world where people live in little tiny cells that are made up of a bunch of digital screens, kind of simulate the environment. They don't have windows. It makes it seem like they might be living underground. It's supposed to be some kind of future dystopian setting. But anyhow, within this setting, this guy meets a brand new pretty girl that's new in his cell block, if you will. That they're not prisoners, but they sort of are. They live a life where they stay in a small digital cell and then they pedal bikes all day to generate energy. And this is pretty much their life, from generating energy by pedaling the bikes to back to the digital cells. And within their little group, this new girl comes in and he's attracted to her because she's quite pretty. And then he hears her singing and you can tell he's kind of falling in love with her. He's thinking about her. And within the plot of the show, you earn tokens for pedaling your bike. And you can earn tokens if your own blood relatives die because you inherit their tokens. And within this system, there's something like, what's the show that everybody watches? Wanna Be I can't think it. The Ryan Seacrest show. The show's been on for like 20 some years. I can't believe I can't think what it's called, but it's a singing competition. America, no, man. I can't think what the name of the show is. I'm sure other people out there know exactly what I'm talking about. The singing competition show. And now there's multiple of these, but it's the original one. American Idol. That's what it's called. American Idol. Okay, so it's like American Idol. And you got to use your credits to have a shot on the show. And you have to use a ridiculous amount of credits. You got to, apparently, it's like 6 months of hard work that you got to pay to go on this show and have a shot of being the next idol in this dystopian world. But anyway, he happens to have all these credits because his brother died, and he sees that this girl can sing, and he says, hey, how about I pay for you to go on the show? Because I think you can make it. Again, if you get picked as a special talent, you get to live a life that's a lot different than all the rest of the slaves in their little cells pedaling their bikes each day. It's kind of, in a way, you could parallel it to this world. Most people are on the grind, living paycheck to paycheck. If you make it in the world of entertainment, you're free of the slave grind. You're now living a different type of life. But anyway, what's messed up is he pays for her, and then she performs, and they're really impressed by her. But the other thing about this world is they're constantly showing people pornography. They want them to watch pornography. It shows them the thing that if pornography comes on in your room and you don't want to watch it, you have to pay a fine for it to be skipped. Because he never wants to see it, this character, the main character. He doesn't want to see this. He's always skipping it, and he's having to pay the fine. And again, this is because it's like some future world where they don't have people procreating. They're just maintaining their life, keeping them in the cell, having them work. They're maintaining their sex life through pornography. But anyway, when she sings, they're impressed with her singing, but they say, you know what, though? We don't really need any more singers in our world. What we need are more porn stars, and you're pretty, so we would like you to do pornography instead. And the guy who was in love with her, who wanted to see her free because she could sing and she was pretty and he just had these feelings for her, now he's horrified. He's horrified that she's going to get thrown into pornography. And you can tell she doesn't really want to go along with it, but they put a lot of pressure on her and it's better than the slave grind, so she goes along with it. So anyway, the reason this story fits in is because of what happens next. He goes into his cell and in a fit of rage because of what happened, he just starts beating his screens within his cell until they break and shatter into pieces of glass. And then he's got this sharp piece of glass and he's thinking about just sticking it right through his neck. But then he doesn't. He gets an idea. He realizes he is going to go on this show. And I think, you can't know exactly what's going through his mind. But he realizes he's going to work real hard. He's going to save back up his credits, and he's going to go on the show himself. And I think, honestly, his first thought is that maybe he's going to go on the show and murder these people with this sharp glass object he has because they've done this to this girl that he's in love with. He wants to kill them for making her a porn star. And what ends up happening, and by the way, sorry if I'm ruining the episode. Sorry if this is a spoiler alert, might be a little bit late. But I think it's highly symbolic that I saw this today while he's talking about it. And I hope he is out there watching because I want him to think about this. So anyway, he ends up saving up all the credits. He gets back on the show. And to save all the credits, what's he do? He goes crazy on the bike. He's just pedaling 1,000,000 miles an hour every day so that he can generate the funds way sooner. Again, a reminder that you do have to grind in this world if you want to get ahead. But anyhow, he gets on the show, and at first he acts like he's a performer, and he's doing his little dance routine. And he has a sharp piece of glass hidden in the back of his pants. And what he ends up doing after he does his little pretty much fake dance routine, because that's not really what he's there for, is he pulls out the glass and he puts it to his neck. And then he gives an impassioned, raging speech about how disgusted he is by these people and what they're doing and how wrong this world is that they live in, that's so meaningless, where all they do is just generate all this energy for God knows what purpose, because all they do is sit in a cell each day and watch these screens and this trivial entertainment and nonstop pornography. And the judges, when he's done ranting with this sharp piece of glass to his neck, they're like, wow, that was the most passionate, inspired thing I have ever seen in my life. How about we give you a brand new show? 2 days a week, you broadcast to the world for 30 minutes. It's almost like, if you've ever seen Network with Howard Bill, where he goes on a rant and he's planning on quitting his job, but then it makes the ratings go through the roof. It's kind of reminiscent of that. But the point is, all his anger and everything that he felt so horrible about, he put it into something constructive, you could say, because he began working very hard at a goal. And his goal might have been initially to murder those people, but then when he got there, that's not what he did. He just went on a speech with the thing to his neck, and he was even thinking about ending his own life on the screen. But instead, it led to something better for him, because he ended up getting freed from the slave grind. His energy and his passion came out like a work of art, and it elevated his position in life and put him in a better place. And the thing doesn't have the happiest ending from there. It's not like then he unites with the girl and they live together. But who knows? Maybe that if they did a part 2, that's where it would go on to be. Just the point is, when really bad things happen to you in life, when you feel like you're at an all-time low, if you can persevere, there's usually something gained from that. Some inner strength, some idea, some creativity, some reflection, some motivation to improve yourself. Again, and when you're young and you have your first love or the first person that means everything to you, I do think honestly, in a more perfect world, it would be best if we could all just marry and have kids with our first love. I think it would solve a lot of problems, rather than what's typical at our day and age. You know, have God knows how many partners, and in a way develop a lot of bad habits. I think that's why so many people cheat in our society, because they're used to having so many different flavors, and then to settle down with one person can be quite challenging. But for most of us, that's not the way it works out. We most of us, we don't end up marrying our first love and having children. I do think about that a lot, and I do think it would be ideal. I think it would be perfect. I had a middle school teacher, Miss Wojciechowski, if she's still out there. She'd be old now. Miss Wojciechowski might have passed on, but she told us that when we were in eighth grade. She said, find your partner right now and marry him young and have a bunch of babies. You'll be so happy. She'd always say her and her husband had been together. I forget. She was probably like approaching 80 years old back when I was in eighth grade. What year was that? Oh my God. I started kindergarten in 88. So eighth grade must have been 96. Um, yeah, she's probably departed, Miss Wojciechowski. But anyway, she was a sweet lady. She was a sweet lady. And again, if you can't marry your first love and go on and have a bunch of children, there will be other people in your path. Again, life, in a way, things do go by fast, but at the same time, it's a long journey. There's a lot of opportunities. There's a lot of people you're going to meet. Um, yeah, if you quit the game early, if you take yourself out of the game, you're not giving yourself a chance to recover from whatever loss you're feeling right now. You know, you're in the most pain you were ever in, and you're deciding you just can't take it anymore. You can, though. You can persevere. And for most people, when they get through that painful period, they look back and they say, man, I've come a long way. Oh, man, I'm glad I didn't make that decision. And I'm not gonna lie, I used to always think about self deletion too. Um, yeah, again, I felt it. I felt extremely lonely in the years after September 11th. Again, September 11th changed my worldview. It changed my relationships with people, because I became the odd man out. 9/11, for example, never sat right with me, never made any sense, looked like a horrible lie. And almost everybody I knew just went along with it. And if you questioned it, you got insulted, you got called names, you got your mental health questioned. And it was very frustrating. It was very frustrating to have people uh, ridicule you and try and sabotage your character, and almost everybody too. It was something you just couldn't talk about to anybody. And for me, that was very depressing. Um, but what it did is it made me start to read more. I found myself being alone a lot more. It made me read more than ever. I gained knowledge. Um, so in the end, it wasn't all bad, and it made me look into things, like learning about the things I've learned about now that I teach about, which have enhanced my life a lot, helped enhance other people's lives, but definitely had to go through a tough period of time for that to be the outcome. And honestly, I mean, in a way, it's still a tough period of time. Questioning the authorities is always a challenging thing. So it's just like it's ruined my relationship with my sister, amongst other people. And again, that's just the way life is. Everything's dualistic. There's good and bad to everything. Everything. So, yeah, our young friend out there, if you're listening, again, I know, I already know what you're probably saying. You're saying, no, you don't understand. You don't understand. She's the only one for me. That's what he's been telling me. That's how it feels right now. But what I'm telling you as an older person is, I don't think that there is just one person for everybody. It's a big world. The world is full of so many people, so many people. You're going to meet so many more people in your lifetime. And again, you're on the verge of finishing school. That's a very exciting time. Finish school. You're going into a career that you're excited about. Imagine you start the job, you enjoy the job, your social status is up. Next pretty girl you meet, who you really get along with, who you have a lot in common with, she might work right next to you at the workspace. Or maybe she's not at your exact work location, but you meet her through the field you're working in. And that's probably better too, because sometimes there is such a thing as being around each other too much. But yeah, again, you gotta go through the journey of life. And hey, the other thing is if you do think that that girl is the one and only one for you, if you take yourself out of the game, then you're ensuring 1,000,000% that you will never be together. Because you never know. Arranged marriage, um, maybe for one reason or another, that doesn't work out. Plans get canceled. It's a few months from now, it's not going to happen. Things have changed. You're out of school, you've got the career, and her parents are going, well, look at him now. And aren't they the ones that really connect with each other? Well, maybe that was the right path all along. But again, you take yourself out of the game, that is just not going to be a possibility. So yeah, perseverance. Perseverance, the word. I've said it 1,000 times before. I don't have any tattoos on my body, but if I had a tattoo, that's probably the one thing that would be written on it. Perseverance. Um, I've just always found that that's the thing in life that'll help you get through, that'll take you to the next level, that'll help you accomplish your goals. Maybe not as fast as you want to, but if you can persevere, if you can keep pushing along, if you cannot be discouraged by the crowd, if you cannot give in to your naysayers, you'll almost always reach your goals. And that said, I had a goal when I started this work on this channel to have a real impact on the world and try and wake up my fellow man to stop going along with the lies that are fed to him through the screens each day, to stop participating in the rigged selections, the politricks, and 12 years into it on the tube, and really longer than that because I've been doing things like this just within my own community way before I got on YouTube. And, you know, my goals are nowhere near accomplished, but I still think that if I keep pushing, I will have at least something close to what I've imagined in terms of the impact, in terms of creating a movement against these things that I see as destructive to our society. Again, news media, propaganda, totally destructive to society, pushes people along with horrible agendas that should all be stopped in their tracks, from needless wars to so many other things. It's evolved into young children mutilating themselves, et cetera, et cetera. But again, this is why I've always worked to help people see what news media really is. Propaganda, mind control. It's not here to serve us. It's here to take advantage of us, use us, abuse us. Again, I want my legacy to be a world where people finally woke up to the big game on TV. Can it be done? Possibly. And again, if I ever want to reach my goals, I just got to keep pushing along. And, it can be challenging. I've been in a 3-year rut. And I mean, there's been a lot of obstacles before the last 3 years in time of trying to do this work. Deleted 20 sometimes. Shadow banned to no end. The last 3 years, complete stagnation with record low views, subscribership, etc., etc. Almost every morning, I've woken up and said, "Man, is today the day to throw in the towel?" But then I always say, "If I throw in the towel, I'm never gonna achieve my goal." So there is no throwing in the towel. And again, the other thing is if you're not achieving your goals, you got to figure out ways to do better, to improve your odds of achieving your goal. So, but again, for the young man out there, you can't beat yourself up over your situation. a lot of the things that are impacting you and the way you feel right now are out of your control. You can't control what religious group you were born into, uh, the age you are, and the parents wanting older, more accomplished. I mean, again, that's not a possibility. So you also can't beat yourself up for the things that are out of your control. But yeah, it makes me sad. It makes me sad that you're this young person is really contemplating this, and I'm over here maintaining the idea that he is going to pull through, but time will tell. And he's not the only one. Another gentleman in this community, a little bit older than him, it just again, a lot of us in this community feel like outcasts. We care about truth. A lot of our peers don't. For trying to discuss things within the realm of truth, going against mainstream narratives, we get demonized, we get ridiculed, and there's a gentleman in this community again who often goes through these dark feelings just from that. And what I noticed with his tendencies is oftentimes when he'd call me telling about how dark he feels, um, he would be under the influence of alcohol. And, I'd say to him, I'd say, when you call me up and you're talking about this, almost every single time you've been drinking. So do you think maybe the drinking contributes to the low feelings? And I know that gentleman's drastically reduced his drinking, and he's also drastically reduced his number of phone calls feeling that way. But I still see through his messages and calls from time to time that he's still feeling lonely and isolated. And again, if that's you as well, it's okay to take a break from doing this kind of research, doing this kind of work, trying to get your peers on board. I'll remind people when I was in my early 20s, I had to take a break from caring about the truth and just have fun with my peer group, be a stereotypical 20-some-year-old, if you will. Go out, have fun, have a few drinks, smoke a few bowls, watch the game with the friends and pretend like it's not rigged. I had to live that life for a while and just really not think about any of the things that I ultimately cared about the most, which was what kind of society was I living in? How horrible is our government? What about these evil wars they've started and the amount of lives that they've taken that just didn't need to happen? Those are the things that I really, really cared about. Again, I was 18 when 9/11 happened. And, I was horrified by how awful it all was. And I wanted to make it stop. I wanted people to see the lies and the consequence of the lies. But all I was really getting was, persecuted by family and friends. And at some point, I did throw in the towel for a bit there. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to be like everybody else. I'm going to go back into just having fun, hanging out with the friends, partying. And after so long, though, I had to go back to my roots. I thought, well, this is fun, but man, there's another part of me that's saying, what about the mission? What about the things you really care about? What about the things you're passionate about? How are you going to get back on that path? And then you get back on the path. But yeah, if you need a break, if you need a respite, um, life is about balance too. And that's one nice thing I've had the entire time I've been doing this work. A lot of people say, Zach, how do you get back here and do this every day? How do you do this for 12 years straight? Talk about topics and put up all the ridicule and trolling and not reaching your goals and not being as successful as you want. What makes you come back day after day? Again, the one thing that I do have in my life is I got a great partner. I got a sweet lady, and she gives me a lot of balance. And again, I do understand why it is so important to have a significant other and that special person and the person you can trust and rely on and talk to and not feel so lonely with. So, again, relationships are an important part of life. And if you don't have, at least one person in your life um, that you're close with and you feel safe with and can talk to, that probably is something to prioritize. That is probably a necessary component um, to being able to, you know, stay on your goals, following your aspirations, having somebody in your life that you love and care about, and it's a mutual relationship, and they love and care about you. It is something worth pursuing and finding as well, and that's probably important to mention also because I do feel like we're living in a world where less and less people probably do have that. More and more people are so dependent on screens and technology and social media, and less people have normal relationships when we are human beings. And a large part of the human experience is being social, uh, having actual physical contact with another person. Um, and you see how that breakdown is happening. And especially after the pandemic, I mean, for years, just people not living normal human lives, developing new behavioral patterns, becoming more independent. Um, it was like introducing uh, a purposeful societal breakdown. And as I mentioned that, that did cause a schism in a lot of people's life. This same young person I'm talking about, who's thinking about just ending it all, uh, he was supposed to travel and go to university at the time that the scandemic happened, and all of that got canceled for him. And I know we have another young person in the community who's a good contributor whose life also kind of got derailed from the scandemic. It messed up their university plans as well. You guys might remember young Ben in the community. He had to fight extra hard to be able to go to school without getting pokey dokes and wearing masks. Um, so yeah, again, there really are a lot of obstacles in the world right now, probably more than ever, more challenges than ever. But perseverance, just the ability to say, okay, you know, I will overcome this one way or another. One day at a time, I will overcome this problem. As horrible as I feel about this right now, I know that as time passes, I'll feel better. And yeah, it is harder when you're younger. And I think a lot of people who do take their own life, especially over romantic things, I think it more often than not does tend to be younger people because there's a greater emotional response at that age. There's less life experience. But yeah, again, if you can imagine moving on, or maybe you can't, but just try to imagine it. Try to imagine 2 years have gone by. Maybe the love of your life at age 20. You didn't land her for one reason or another, arranged marriage, whatever. But imagine it being 2 years from now. You're well into your career. You're enjoying your career. There's some cute girls in the office. You're a handsome guy. They're flirting with you. Now your problem is which of these cuties that are flirting with you that have similar interests to you, which is the one that you should make the move on. I mean, that might be the new problem 2 years from now. That might be the new dilemma. And sure, you might always have a spot in your heart for the girl who got away, but again, it's a big world, a lot of people out there, a lot of opportunities, and especially when you're in your early 20s. So, okay. Okay. And here's the other thing too. There's one other thing I got to say. There's a few people in this community who, when I don't respond to their emails, um, they get really angry and they feel like I'm ignoring them. I am never ignoring anybody. I don't have time to check all of my messages. Sorry, I saw a message right now. Don't let text messages not being responded to, emails not being responded to. Don't let those types of things upset you. Um, I almost just missed the time growing up before everyone had computers and internet and all this digital communication. This digital communication leaves so much room for misinterpretation. Once upon a time, nobody communicated electronically. This just did not happen. There were no text messages, there were no emails. If you wanted to talk to somebody, it was either in person or on the phone. And even on the phone, things can be misinterpreted because you can't see body language, but still, it's usually easier to understand by somebody through the phone because you can hear their tone of voice. You can hear if they're laughing, you can hear if they're angry. You never know with a digital message. How many times have you sent a text message and the other person never got it, or somebody sent you a text message and you didn't receive it? Or some people's phones are really busy. It's like me. I have every time I pick up the phone, I got at least 15 new text messages, and 15 text messages. You might not see the 11th, 12th, 13th, and 14th ones down there. Um, yeah, it just this age we live in, there's just so many little things that if you let them annoy you, they will. And uh, yeah, but okay. What I'd like to do is open up the phone line. And for anybody out there who's ever, I mean, you're on the phone, so you're mostly anonymous, right? You don't need to have to say who you are. I'm not going to say who you are. And plus, I probably don't know who you are unless you're one of a few people that I have their number saved in my phone. Um, I know there's a lot of people, especially in this community, who've had ideas of taking their own life. And if you're somebody out there and you've gotten through a tough period, or maybe you had a similar story, uh, there was a loved one who got away from you and it felt like the end of the time, but you've gone on and you're happy you didn't push the end button. I think it'd be nice to share your story because I know we got one person out there who's going to listen to this show, and you never know, it might be your story or your voice or the way you communicate something that will help them get through what they're dealing with right now. And if you would like to call in, the number is up on the screen. It is the 509 number. It is 509-560-4982. And yeah, the topic of the night is perseverance. So if you have any story relating to perseverance, overcoming a problem, um, that would fit. But yeah, if there's anybody else out there that would want to share their story of how they might have been near the self deletion, but they overcame, again, it could be a lifesaver for a young gentleman who's out there in this big old world. I imagine listening as we speak. So, all right, we got our first caller. And 408, you are on.
All right. Hey, Zach. I did just want to say I'm glad you're watching Black Mirror. I remember when I was a few years back when I was a senior in college, we actually had a class where we watched some of the episodes of Black Mirror, and it was a good time because it was shortly after I'd come across your channel, and yeah, I do remember that episode that you mentioned at the beginning of the show. But yeah, there's a lot of in that, I mean, obviously you don't have to watch every single episode, but there's a lot of episodes that are just a lot of them. Even it's probably been less than 10 years since that show came out, and there's a lot of things in today's world that are very reminiscent of things that were shown in that show. Like, have you seen like those robotic dogs around?
Well, I remember they were talking about those when the scandemic was going on. So,
All right, yeah, there was a Black Mirror episode with those robotic dogs and how they like turned on humans and they started like firing. I don't know what they're firing something at humans and killing them. And I was out the other day and there's this kind of street fair going on and they had robotic dogs there and I was like, wow, look at that. But yeah, that show is very worrying in my opinion. The second thing is we're talking about kind of depression and getting over girls and all that. Yeah, I've never wanted to take myself out, but yeah, there have been times where I've been depressed, and actually, it wasn't that long ago, probably less than 6 months ago. There was a situation where I was going after a girl, and then, but then when I realized I wasn't going to get her, that's kind of where things kind of turned, and it kind of made me realize, you know what, I have to act. And then what ended up happening was I ended up getting a different girl, and now she's my girlfriend. And last month I actually took her to a party where this other girl that I was previously interested in was, and it was funny, they actually got along. And then the other girl texted me afterwards, and I could tell she was kind of jealous. But it just kind of goes to show that you do have to put in a little bit of effort. You can't just like I understand that people do get depressed because yeah, I have been through that, but you sometimes depression can be a wake up call and kind of forces you to go out there and act. That's what I'll say.
yeah, indeed it does. What could you say to the young gentleman right now if you could just give him one piece of advice?
I would say that there's she's not the only one out there. That there have been times where I've pursued girls that I thought were the one for me, and turns out they weren't. There will be other girls out there. I mean, just you don't have to get every single girl that you meet. You don't have to get the number of every single girl that you meet, but if there's someone that you seem like you're getting along well with, maybe ask for their number after a while and see where things go from there.
Yeah. Again, if you're out there listening, just for people who are older, they know that the world's a big place, and there's a lot of very interesting and lovable people out there. You might have found a great one, but again, just life circumstances are preventing it from being what you want it to be. You just got to keep moving along. You never know. You could find an even better flower. So, all right, 408. Anything else you want to say?
Yeah, that's all I've got. Thanks, Zach.
All right, take care, man. See you. Okay. Yeah, I see you guys are talking about the Black Mirror show in the chat. I feel like that show is a blueprint for where they're taking the world with just the whole meta. And remember, meta, this world that they want for you to live in by 2030. Remember, they announced meta around the same time Klaus Schwab said by 2030 you'll own nothing and be happy. They were showing how in meta in the future you can just live in this digital world. You can go to school in this digital world. You can work in this digital world. You can use your tokens to buy digital outfits for your digital self in this digital world. Meta. It has this association with death, and in a sense, if you're living in this digital world and you're dressing up a digital character, it's like your body's dead. It's like, you're living outside of yourself. Um, but yeah, just from watching a few of those episodes today, a few of the earliest episodes. The one other thing I noticed about every episode intertwines technology and sex. Through all the episodes I watched, they all had to do with technology and sex. And I always make the point about Apple. Their symbol is or the bite out of the forbidden fruit. And I've always thought that Genesis is really just an analogy for. I've thought the story is about sex because God punishes Eve with pregnancy and labor pains for biting the fruit. It's like, okay, so all right, I guess really this is symbolic of sex. But again, Apple, they priced their first consumer computer at $666.66. Back in the day before the internet was a thing, I remember growing up in Portland. It's funny. I didn't realize it growing up as a child, but Portland, Oregon, where I grew up, has the most strip clubs per capita. And I noticed growing up that there were pornography stores everywhere in Portland, like how there's Starbucks everywhere now. In Portland, for whatever, and maybe it was true in every city. I grew up in Portland, so my perspective was Portland, but there was like porno shop, XXX stores seemingly on every other corner in Portland. You'd see it everywhere. There's the XXX sign, and I don't know why that is. I don't know why. I don't know why Portland would have more porn per capita than any other city, but seemingly it did. Anyway, the point I'm making about XXX is you learn the Gematria thing. X is the 24th letter. The numerology of 24 is 2 plus 4 is 6. So XXX is 666. Again, computers, internet. I haven't looked up the statistic for a while, but years ago, the majority of online traffic for the internet was pornography. If you haven't seen this Black Mirror show, the first episode is about how it's a future world and people have this chip inside of them, and the chip essentially records their brain. So everything that's going on in their life through their eyes is recorded essentially in a cloud. So you can go back and revisit any of your memories. You're like, oh, was that girl checking me out? You can rewind and take another look at it real quick, what you saw. Oh yeah, she did give me the look. It's keeping track of all of everything. And the way the episode begins is the husband's coming home and it's like some kind of dinner party at his house, and his wife's talking to a man, and they look a little bit too close and a little bit too cuddly. And so later that night, he keeps going back and rewinding how that looked when he came in through the door, how they were talking. He's going, I don't know. Something seems a little bit off about this. And from that conversation, one thing leads to another. And then he ends up checking his wife's tape. And sure enough, in her memory, she's been having an affair with this man, and it's all recorded there. But I just every episode, again, had to do with technology and sex. And, we all learned about Freud growing up in school, and Freud made it seem like everything boils down in human psychology to sex. We live in a world now where it's just, sex is marketed everywhere. Just television, advertising, shows, especially with the internet and pornography, Instagram, people showing off. It's like I've been doing watching a lot of videos for how to improve your YouTube channel and tricks that people are doing to improve in the algorithm. And you start searching for those channels. There's this girl that popped up, and she's actually good at making videos too. She's not bad at making videos, but she's using her sex appeal. Every single video, low shirt, she has a nice pair. they're halfway hanging out in every video. Her views are just like through the roof, right? And people aren't just watching because she's attractive and she's got her chest hanging out, but she's also good at making videos and sharing the information. But this is my point about just like sex everywhere and technology. And yeah, again, the episode I was just talking about, how they keep these people in a cell, and to pacify them, they have porn playing like in a 360 view with screens everywhere, and you get penalized if you try to skip the pornography. You have to pay a fine. Um, yeah, it is kind of just disturbing, and also how the way this show is made, and it really, I feel like what they're showing in that show is what they have planned for the future. I was saying how they want us in these 15-minute cities with, we're saving the earth, we're fighting the climate change. These people like live in some underground bunker and they pedal on bicycles all day to generate clean energy, but their lives are just being kept in cells, and because they're not allowed to have normal relationships, they just watch porn all the time. It's just, yeah, it's for our young friend out there who wants to exit the world because it's so painful. Like I've said to him before, and I'd say to every other young bright mind out there that feels like this world is gone and it's a lost cause. Listen, it is a gone and it's a lost cause if all the best minds give up and throw in the towel. The only way this world's not going to reach that point is if more people recognize what's going on, where we're being taken to, and actually help do something to stop it. So we don't arrive at this dystopian future where, again, we all do live like prisoners in cells in 15-minute cities. And it is funny listening to people say, oh, those online conspiracies, they're so worried about the 15-minute cities. It's like, well, again, I understand the nice ideas of these 15-minute cities, but I also see what they want to do with the world. They want to absolutely control people. They want to have every last thing under surveillance. Again, and they want to use these excuses of climate change to get people to submit to something like what they're showing in this Black Mirror show. Okay. Well, we didn't have a lot of people that wanted to call in and share, but we do also have the trolls going crazy like always in the chat. Um, Nobody out there has a story to share about perseverance, overcoming, getting through something painful? Or maybe those stories are just too personal to share. All right, hold on here. 419, what's up?
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, to the young man, it's not worth it for, I know this world feels so dark and gloom right now, but to the people that you're going to leave behind that you don't even think that you're going to affect, it's heartbreaking. My daughter's boyfriend took his life January 18th. He found him. She had to cut him down, 17 years old. She's cutting down her boyfriend from electrical cord. And, that's affected all of us. And you just don't know. You think your life is insignificant at the time, but, we're still more years later. So to that young gentleman, your life is important, more important, and people will love you and mourn you even years after you're gone. And, it still affects all of us to this day. So it sucks and it's hard, but let's make it till the end. Like, however we're going to go out, but let's not do it because of somebody, as far as, like a girl or whatever. I don't know what he's going through, but, you know, it's difficult. Difficult to lose people, you know. I don't know. That's all I have to give.
Well, I appreciate you calling in and sharing that. And indeed, if you take your own life, you might create a lot of pain in other people's lives as well. So that is definitely something to think about. Also, I appreciate that 419. Thank you.
Yep, thank
All right,
you.
take care. And I see the glitch started to come back. Her call was dropping in and out because I thought I resolved the problem, but it came back right there. If you're trying to call in, I'm resetting the phone to see if it'll solve the problem for the time being. All right. If you are calling in, please only call in on topic. Uh, yeah, the mention of alcohol can definitely add to the problems. I completely agree with. And like I said, we had a gentleman in this community who every time he drank, he was feeling like taking an exit. And I know that he has definitely curbed his drinking problem. Um, 1 second, 630. I have to do something after resetting the phone to get you on here. 1 second, stand by. Okay. That's interesting. Go ahead, 630.
All right, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, cool. All right. So yeah, this is my first time calling in. I've been watching you for about 4 years now. Love the work, love the dedication, but just going with the topic, I went through like a heartbreak. So I was with a girl for 5 years, found out like like a few weeks after breaking up with me, she was with another dude. So that that was just really, really devastating, and it put me in a dark space. And even after a few years, like I'm still trying to pull myself out, but the road always gets better. In my case, sorry, I'm a little nervous. It's just a lot to spew out, and I'm still going through issues from this. But my thing, I would just say is just find a way to keep yourself busy and just make sure like you don't take your life, because obviously like they're a contributor to the community, and like nobody. Sorry, I'm. I apologize. I'm just nervous.
You sound good. I wouldn't even know you were nervous if you didn't say so. Your voice is very clear.
Okay, yeah, but I actually had an aunt take her life when I had to be 7 or 8, but my family still mourns from that loss, and that was 20 years ago. So people, even though you may not be here, the people who are close to you will actually still deal with the loss. So just keep your head up, stay busy, and just stay positive. That's the most important thing I would say.
Yeah, it can
But
be
yeah,
a
that's all I
challenging thing to
had
do.
to share.
Sure. Yeah, again, similar story with yours. Just disappointment with your loved one, But again, keeping your head up, moving along, the pain lessens, and um, again, more doors will open. So I don't know if you found somebody else, but no doubt in time that will happen. So
Yeah, definitely. Like things weren't good. Like just it was like a domino effect of just like bad events happening, like loss of a girlfriend, and then losing a job. But I have a better job, better pay, so things always do work out in the end. It's just being patient with the process.
indeed, yeah, patience is a virtue. So
All right. Thank you for having me on.
all right, friend, appreciate you calling in and sharing your story. You take care.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
He called in before I set up the Bluetooth, so it wouldn't let me switch it over. A few other people were trying to call in during that call. It's not a call board, so you got to get through when the line's open. The line is open if anybody wants to phone in. Interesting. Why is it not letting me connect now? That's weird. Well, what's up, 510?
Hello? Hey, what up, Zach? Yeah, I got one too, man. I was just eating, but you get straight to the chase. Yeah, all the people are the same age as me and probably younger. I'm 27. Got in a relationship when I was 18 and it lasted for a good 7 years, and I really thought that was the one. Guys and girls in the chat, and I was really in love, bro. First love ever. Think I was perfect. But then life started to life. Actually, it was social media, honestly. And like you were kind of alluding to, like social media and just like that. I feel like that had a real part to play in it because, she wanted just to be shown on social media. And I was more of a private guy, not really, So that kind of, ultimately kind of ended it. And certain little things happened. And, when it ended, I was lost, not gonna lie, I was in a dark place. But the thing that made me persevere was just telling myself I've been through way worse things and situations than, just a girlfriend and having feelings, what helped. What made me persevere was just working out, breathing, reading, and then, just like you're saying, Zach, and other callers, it's more women than men in the world, guys. I'm kind of speaking to the guys of this, but it's always remember it's more women on this earth than there are males, and it's always more efficiency, like Zach says as well. Things that helped me was like that as well, and just like walking, and just kind of, I don't know, like really just meditating. I mean, that was one of the biggest things for me, just working out, meditating. And even like, yeah, it wasn't really the relationship that made me want to take my life. I wanted to take my life really like when I was around like probably like 12 or 11. I started like hang myself off my bed and shit. Just because like that was probably like the worst, lowest I've ever been in my life and stuff like that. So, I've always persevered through things like that. Just, you always got to remember, if you do that, you're just being selfish. You always remember that. And if you want to be selfish, hey, man, I don't really condone it. I don't want to, but just always think, it's always, you can always be more productive. You can always put that energy towards something else that brings you happiness. And I don't want to keep taking over the line, but I'll end with this. Just always believe in yourself and always know there's always somebody on this earth that believes in you, and I'll end with that. Thank you for taking my call, Zach. Hopefully I helped out a little bit, and I'm always going to be listening on the side.
All right. Appreciate you sharing your story. Thanks, 510. And sometimes the person that is the one believing in you is you. So that's why they say first you got to love yourself. But yeah, again, in really dark periods, that's where you can grow that inner strength and prove to yourself that you can overcome difficult situations. It's a part of a lot of people's journey. I don't know why it's not letting me connect it to the call board, but if it won't, we'll just keep doing it the way we're doing it now. What's up, 470?
Hello?
Hello.
Hey, what's going on, Zach?
Yeah, what's up?
Yeah, just calling in, man, to say,
thank thank you for you know, basically, I don't know the algorithm, but I've been following you since 2020, since the COVID thing, and it's awesome work you do, man. Just glad that I had you, like, in my circle, man, and because if not, man, I'd be still kind of like lost in the algorithm and not knowing anything. But as far as the topic, man, um, I've been in the same situation and stuff like that, like um, trying to overcome things and it's not going, you know, as you vision, yourself, because we make plans and sometimes they fail. So, and the giving up part, it gets tough on you. And I just want to let them know, the callers, everybody in the chat, everybody, um, that you're not in this fight alone. That we all in this fight together, and that's what it's going to take to actually have more stronger faith. Because the faith is dying in these times because of like you said before, the elites, whatever. They are pushing that agenda, right, to like strike fear in us,
Indeed.
and we need to recognize that, right, as a people. That's why I kind of like I honor this, your channel and just everything you're doing, because not only that, I've been pushing that. Like, I don't have my own podcast or anything, but I kind of reach out to people to help kids, teenagers, especially young teens who are in that same mindset at a young age too as well, trying to change their mindset, because I was once there myself, and I am doing, like I said, people that I'm not a big religious guy, but I definitely believe in, like, God's chosen ones that's on the earth to really have that, and I definitely believe that you're one of them. But I just know that I was in the same situation as well, just giving up on stuff like that. But that's the thing, man. Like, you gotta look at the system. The system is created to crumble us, man. The system is created, and that's like 50. It's like a major percentage of the reason why people are giving up hope, because it's like hard. They putting so much of this just embracing it so much on your shoulders, man, and sometimes your plate get too full that you can't handle it. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people, like like the weather control, the forecast and stuff, and it kind of like people are they're losing their homes due to this fucking created weather storm, man. And it's like it's just crazy, man. It's crazy, and I just came in today. This is my first time actually calling in and actually giving my intune. I actually like online, whatever. But I just wanted to give the blessings to the community, man, and just looking forward to the future and just helping change lives, man. Even if we have to stand up, against the higher ups, man. The people who want us to be, like you said, they want us to take orders and follow what they say. So, but thank you once again, man, for having me, accepting me, and I definitely look forward to keep pushing the agenda, man. Keep exposing these wicked people out here, man, and hurting the people, our people, losing this hope and this faith, man. But together we definitely build that up, and it all starts with love, with each other and respect, man.
Indeed. Indeed.
Yeah, have a blessed night, man.
Yeah. Thank you very much for calling in and being part of it. You have a good night.
All right, you too, man.
Yeah, take care. That's the thing too. The young guy out there who's struggling, he's someone that cares deeply, cares about other people. He's very considerate. And again, there's been some other things in his life recently for expressing concern about things, the way they're playing out in the world. He's also gotten ridicule from his family, and his family wishes he would just focus on his school and his career and not worry about the rest. And that, I mean, there's just a lot of things taking a toll, but I just know if he can persevere, he will be better off for it. What's up, 520?
Hey, Zach. It's a little maybe off topic, but I think it kind of runs together the differences between our generation, like what's going on with everybody more younger than us. We have to think about things as far as being injured. You know, like I'm older than you, I'm early 50s, but you know, when we're going through breakups, gut wrenching things that we thought was the end of the world, like early 90s, you know, we'd sit out on our patio with a bottle of wine and cry, and like, suicide was just never a thought of. You know, like it just wasn't something that you even thought was just never entered your mind. Like we have these kids now in high school cutting themselves and stuff that we didn't have. And when you see huge changes like that, you have to look to the environment. And in other countries, when they don't have the numbers that we have and all of those things, it's like when you start with the vaccine schedule, they get 70 by the age of 5. What changed? When you and I got maybe 12, and as you know, Ruby would get 37 by the age of 2. Like what's in, you know, what's going on when the air, food, and water is poison? We have frequencies, there's no potassium in the banana. The brains are, everything starts at the neurological point. Do you know what I mean? Like, people are people. A human is a human. That's why you can give fish antibiotics to a dog or take them yourself. A body is a body is a body. Nothing has changed except the poisons. I see homeless people and I look at them as victims. You know, I hate the asshole that's like, he can get a job. Well, he might, I mean, he was poisoned and he lost his birth certificate. Doesn't have an address. His birth certificate. It's like it all starts from one place. So our brain is no different than the brain, you know, of like where Sweet Lady came from. But the way they behave is different. We're an experiment. It's working well. Do you agree?
Yeah, yeah, indeed.
Like, what else is there? There's like nothing that people's ability to cope. I have 2 teenagers, and they were homeschooled. I'm vaxxed. I'm one of those moms, and they're so much superior. They're so much more grounded than other kids. I'm lucky they've had the same, you know, friend group since age 5, but all the other teenagers, they're so messed up. 1 in 6 boys is on Adderall. Merck makes $500 million a month just off of Adderall.
Sure. Yeah.
So, like, so, you know, suicide now is, it's not something to poo-poo. It's not like, oh, well, we didn't do it. You know, their father told them recently, you kids, this generation had it so easy. You guys have it too easy. That's the problem. And my son was smart enough to go, wait a minute, Dad, what do we have? We have AI and Sentinel. Like, what do we have? You guys were riding bikes and going to cake parties and having fun. You know, like, you guys were at concerts, not looking at your phone, watching the band, like doing cool stuff. So we do tend to say this generation, yeah, they are all narcissistic. And that woke shit, just horrible. And they do it, you know, they're all, you know, real self-entitled, but they have it bad. Like, this generation has it bad. And we tend to say as parents, you guys have it good. No, actually, they don't. No one's talking to each other. Suicide's a thing. These teenage girls is more prevalent in girls. They're at home cutting themselves. I grew up in the 80s. Like, in fact, Winona Ryder was my best friend going through junior high and high school together. We were on the punk scene. No one was cutting themselves. Like, that wasn't a thing. So if you can, from what I gather from what you said about the girl, you sended them off, on, I don't know, they're spacing them out. But that's what I started to do. I thought with my daughter, I'm going to space them out. Because my son got a vaccine injury. And again, as soon as she was born, I did none. And every school has a little exemption sheet. They just don't tell you about it. Just fill out the exemption sheet. We're lucky in Arizona, you have a personal beliefs, religious, or medical. Your personal beliefs, if you want to put them in the, places, if you want to do school. But the kids are only as safe as the jackass at the next desk.
520, 520. I'm going to let somebody else get in because your call's breaking up. But thank you for being part of the show tonight. I appreciate it. You have a good night. All right, 818. What's going on, 818?
Hey, Zach. How's it going, man?
Yeah, what's up?
Hey, man. Yeah, just, I like to come with a sort of a tough love approach and all this type of stuff. As young men, we've all had our hearts broken and then gone through situations where we think that we can't get out of, and it's just an experience of being young. And, for any young person out there that's feeling that way, all I have to say is that, time passes and wounds heal. And just, as far as young men go, just, grow up pair of balls and just live life. Shit is hard, It's not going to be the first heartbreak. It's not going to be the last heartbreak, Partners die, partners cheat, shit happens, Everybody goes through shit. Everybody has a reason to take themselves out right now. And we don't because, like you said, we persevere. If you really think about it, there's really no point to be here, for being here for any of us. Things are not going to get better. I give you credit for trying, and all of us try, but it's not going to get better. And there is really no reason for us to be, breathing. We persevere. We find love in other things. We gotta love ourselves, As a young man, you gotta work out. I bet you this young man is not in the best shape that he can be in. Maximize yourself in the gym. Eat healthy. Pick up some hobbies. You'll meet somebody new. They'll break your heart. You'll meet somebody else. You might get married. You might be married for 50 years and then they pass away, and then what? You're gonna end it all then? It's being young and inexperienced and doing anything that's gonna hurt you or make you not be in this earth any longer. It's just not a wise decision because there's no coming back from that. But you can always make the choice to make your life better.
Sure. And just to comment on something you said about how things aren't going to get better. We don't know that for sure, but the direction of things does not look good. Even though the world, there is a lot of things to be distraught about, there's still beautiful things in life, and that is why we continue to persevere and live on. You just got to enjoy the things that are good, and rather than dwell on what's awful, again, I try to do something positive to change what I see is wrong with the world, but still, as bad as things are, there's still plenty of beautiful things in the world, and those are the things that make life worth living. For example, a new experience in my life is just having a baby girl, and just every time I see her smile, I just think, wow, what an amazing thing. Just that little beautiful smile. So, but yeah, and then my next thought is, man, if we don't make this world better, what kind of world is she growing up in? But go ahead, friend.
But yeah, I met you out here in LA with my son, at front of the Staples Center.
Okay.
And, I'm separated from his mom. I don't see my son every day. I don't, and that's tough. And that's, I thought I found somebody that I could, grow up with and grow old with. I didn't foresee myself breaking up and then not seeing my son every day. That's more of a reason to think about negative things than it would be from a little heartbreak, being in my 20s, and I had that as well. So my point is that, bad shit is going to happen throughout your life, and your loved ones are going to die as you grow older, people, your friends. That shit will happen. And like you said, you got to there's always going to be something to find hope in, beauty in, and you just got to persevere and move forward. And I still see my son every other weekend, once, maybe 8 times a month, which, I want him to grow up with me, and it makes me sad, but at no moment am I going to believe myself because the situation sucks. And I'm not doing that for him. I'm doing that for myself. It's like the young man, like everybody's advising him to not do something that is going to hurt his family. He should do it for himself, for his future self.
Yeah.
If his future self can come back and say something to him at his moment, his future self would tell him that everything is gonna be okay. That everything did work out.
I agree. Yeah, I completely agree.
So, yeah, that's all, man. Thank you for the time.
All right. Thanks for coming out when we were in LA. I appreciate it, man. You have a good night. All right, take care. For the person in the chat saying, what's the phone number? I don't know if you're under the influence or something, but the number's right on the screen. So I'm thinking if you cannot read the number on the screen, might not be in the right frame of mind to call in either. Yeah, if anybody else does want to phone in, the call-in number is right in the center of the screen at the bottom. And if you're listening to this later on the playback as a podcast, we are streaming these live on YouTube. Eventually, we will stream it on the Count On It channel, but that channel does not have live streaming enabled yet. So we are streaming on the channel that's been renamed Number Games with Zachary K. Hubbard. That's yours truly. 810.
Howdy. How's it going, man?
It's going all right. How are you?
Pretty good. I just got here kind of late, but I've been here for the past like 40 minutes or something. I got a crazy story on the whole perseverance topic. I kind of wanted to connect it with a few callers too, and just on the whole, like how you said, like we don't know, everything's not going to get better. Like there's a huge chance, but how the other person said they're really holding down the fear paradigm and just don't give in to the fear paradigm, because like it's just keep the vibration up, keep positive, and like the other person said, like stay healthy and eat good. And but on the whole topic with like and how everyone's going to self-deletion as the term now, that's just trying to program people into seeming more machine, I think.
I agree.
Like
it's annoying, but also it's just if you say the actual word, they punish you, and then they make it so nobody sees it. It's like, why can we not say the word? What is this about?
Yeah, right. I wonder what the numbers like self-deletion comes up as Gematria. I wonder what. But yeah. So my first love had an experience where she's not here anymore. So I don't know what actually happened, but she was found like hanging in her apartment in Detroit with the door kicked in. And shortly thereafter, so right before that, the same year, her mom and dad died. And her dad was like ex-military, and he was posting a whole bunch of he was getting drunk and posting YouTube videos about like military stuff. I never watched them, but I always thought that was weird. And then he just ended up like dead, and then she ended up dead, and then her brother died too. It was so, and I was living with a geneticist from Stanford at the time, and
I don't know, it was just like kind of interesting because I was thinking like their whole genetic bloodline got wiped out. It was just like kind of weird. And but yeah, just like staying positive through all that is pretty intense. I got like a literally like pardon my fucking nut chopped off. Sorry for swearing, bro. But with an instrument, remember what Crocodile Dundee had, dude? That is called a bull roarer, the instrument.
I don't remember. It's been I don't think I've seen one of those movies since the 80s.
I know, like it's been like '92 since I seen it. I was like a little kid, but yeah, I don't remember that part, but that's what everyone remembers it from. But it's like this piece of wood, like a boomerang, really sharp, and you swing it so fast it cuts the sound out of the air, and it's like, and I had to go in full speed, and yeah, whack straight to the groin. So I couldn't really walk around for like a year too much. I had like a block radius, and that whole event with my first love happened. I was just like, man, I'm like a high energy human being that like always drums and runs and plays basketball and stuff. And I was like, I couldn't really sit down and drum even. And I was like, wow, this is really horrible. Like, so that was like hard, but now I'm like to the point where I'm like physically able again. So I'm like super thankful just to like be able to walk. Like when people don't go through like major injuries, they're really like not thankful for everything that's like just on an everyday basis. Just the ability to walk is like, and just, you know, have some space. But the programming and everything is just so heavy, so I can see how everyone's getting down. But that's my like personal, just preserve through it, stay positive, still like be productive and care about everyone and try to spread the truth. I just seen your recent, it might have been a month ago, a video on your channel with Gematria being like the most important topic in the community or whatever, truth community.
Okay.
And I was waiting for you to say something. I just wanted to say that I think it really is, honestly, dude, like for real. So good work and nice. And I've been spreading it to people, and everyone's really it. And you should ask like what the general age of everyone is, because I think the younger humans are just their attention span's so freaking short. It's like, and they're so programmed to not believe. They're so brainwashed. Like you show them anything, and it's like crazy. Like I was in 8th grade when 9/11 happened, and I seriously was spray painting 9/11 equals hoax like in like 12th grade and like beyond. I was just like, man. And then when whatever I called COVID 9/11 equals hoax because it reminded me so much of the programming, but on a different scale. I was like, it's like 9/11, but remember Team of American World Police? It's like 9/11, but 1,000 times worse or 10,000 times worse, because it's like affecting every human. The 19-year programming of the recent, what do you call it? Jibber jab.
Sure. Yeah.
Hokey dokey. Hokey
Yeah.
pokey.
Yeah.
I love that term, bro. You're hilarious, by the way.
Well, I appreciate it.
But, yeah, man. I'll let anyone else fly in this realm on the digital waves, but it's really like some They Live Dark City. Have you seen the movie Dark City?
You know, people said I need to watch Dark City. That's one I still haven't seen.
Oh,
Yeah.
It'll tweak your mind. It'll make it. You'll get a little bit new angles of thought just on it. It's like so interesting, dude, for sure.
I'll check it out. Yeah, that's been recommended several times. Dark City. Okay.
Yeah, it's cool. But yeah, the geneticist, bro. He's the main geneticist of the downtown Portland, Oregon hospital. The geneticist I live with, that was my roommate for like 3 years in Detroit.
I see. Huh.
Yeah, so I was like, he wanted me to come out and play a show out there, but I don't know, it didn't happen. But also, there was a caller, the lady that was breaking up. I think she said Poison the Well, and I was supposed to see that band last night. It was their 25-year anniversary for this one album, and there was all this synchronizations with it, like heavy, like degree level, like 4 synchronizations, because there's like different types of synchronicities, and they go to different depth levels. So I think you can label them as different degree levels the farther they overlap. Like if there's like 3 correlating synchronistics, it could be called, for example, a degree level 3 synchronistic. And there was like a degree level 5 synchronistic, which is super rare.
going on yesterday with that. And then I think the girl on your channel said poison the well when she was talking about everything being poisoned for the youth.
Yeah.
I was like, holy crap. So I just wanted to say that was pretty cool.
Yeah, indeed. All right, friend. Well, I appreciate the call and the recommendation on Dark City. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Let me know if you see it.
All right. You have a good night.
I'll try to get the audio separated. Night.
Oh, yeah. I would love that. Thank you. All right. Take care.
Dude.
By the way, our friend who's going through hard times is a big movie buff. Think about all the movies you won't be able to review and critique if you're in the game. At the same time, let's take this call from 424. 424, what's going on, 424?
Hey, what's going on, bud? Are you? Excellent.
Yeah, there was some feedback for a second. I don't know if you have a video playing in the background, but go ahead.
I was actually playing your video on the other phone, but first of all, awesome. Thanks for picking up my call.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Appreciate you. Yeah, man. So, I was listening to your podcast one night when you were, like, battling those trolls all alone.
That could have been one of a million days. Yeah, go ahead, though.
Yeah, maybe it was like a month ago or so. And I jumped in towards the end because I was like, oh, I'm going to fucking beat your ass, but they're not. You know what I mean?
Oh, that one of those debates. Oh, okay. Yeah, the panel of trolls. Okay, I got it.
Right. But they're fucking targets.
Sure.
And I say that with fucking yellow buses and helmets intact.
Sure.
So here's what's going on in my opinion. You're totally over the target. You're like the most, honestly, I'm shocked every day. By the way, I've been listening to you from the very beginning.
Okay.
Very beginning. All your channels, I've listened to them all. I got all the little bros. Everyone knows about you. Quiet as kept. Keep it real. Seriously.
Okay.
I would love for you to get my email. We can collab offline. I'll blow your mind. So you're over the fucking target. Okay? Number one. Number two, these trolls, they're all pro and so cold fuckers. Right?
Okay.
Right. All right. So, again, we can talk offline. Watch this. This is my suggestion to you. And by the way, you'll fucking blow up fake ass Adam 22 in there. You already know where I'm going. Check this out. You should just do debates with everyone and watch this part. Check me offline. You got a whole real world of real intelligent thinkers, highest level, that are sick of this shit too. And I'm one of them. So, whatever you're doing, you keep that shit up. And the fact that you're actually, I want to say one more thing. You got the floor, it's your show. The fact that you're actually showing the spark of life with your beautiful child to the world as you're fighting a fight, man, my hat, and again, people are afraid to say, it's so off to you. You got the floor. Let's have a whatever. You're amazing, brother.
I appreciate all your complimentary and encouraging words. Some people think it's really dumb that I show pictures of my child. They think I'm endangering her life because of the things I do.
No.
I don't like to live and think like that. I don't like to live in fear and think that somebody's going to come kill us because we're exposing this.
No.
Again, I think that's the way they would like you to think in this cowardly mindset, and there's going to be consequences for speaking out. Again, for you guys who haven't been around, I've been speaking out for 12 years, and the first.
You're exactly right. You're exactly right. So why? Let's get to the shit, nuts and bolts, real quick. Why? Okay. They want you to not celebrate that life. My obvious conclusion is because they love to eat off of suffering. They put it in our face. In movies, predictive programming, everything. They call it loosh, adrenochrome, whatever. See, remember though, the main thing to people that understand what's really going on, The devil doesn't take prisoners. So, of course, you're supposed to celebrate every bit of life, especially your offspring that came from God. See, that's the whole problem. The problem is people in this earth live in the flesh. They don't understand that God in the ethereal is really real. They're afraid to even think that. That's why they can keep tapping away at their own expense of their own life. You know, social media is like a disease. People real. Look at it. It's like the most narcissistic shit you could ever witness in your life because it's about likes. Think about 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, and beyond. When it's supposed to be horse and buggy, which it was, but yeah, we're looking at pyramids, discoveries, etc. Right? What's going on here is humanity is at a really important, you know, scientists will call it flux, whatever. I just say tipping point. And there are very, very, very brave people. Very brave. And they're in the Bible and shit. Okay? And they're people that stars are in the sky. And stars are not stars. You know that. They came down, certain stars came down to do works. That's you. Exactly. So of course you're supposed to show your works. Because that's God's gift to you. Don't let anyone deter you from what you're doing. Again, to reiterate, you're over the target. Sorry to go into a rant. I'm just saying, I see what's going on here. It's my own thing, and I laugh so much. Like, you give me so much comedy. Like, I even knew how you affected my family for years. You're one of the dopest dudes, dude. Anyway, I don't want to rant on your show. You're fucking amazing. You got backup. You don't even know. Keep doing what you're doing. No one's going to stop that shit. Virgin, Wagwan, talk to me.
Well, again, I appreciate the encouragement and the compliments, and I won't stop doing what I'm doing. And yeah, thank you. Thank you for being part of the show tonight. I appreciate it.
Sure. Yeah. I'll drop
All right, friend.
I'll drop my email. We'll chat.
All right, man. You have a good night.
Keep
Thank
going,
you.
brother.
Yeah, will do. Take care.
Bless. Yeah, man.
That's it. Yeah, a number of people have reached out and said, Zach, you got to stop sharing your baby girl. You could be endangering her life. All you guys who think in this way, yeah, I mean, there's no benefit to having that fearful mindset. Again, you guys, I've been doing this a long time. The first few years that I was doing this research, I had to deal with like a lot of intimidation and threats and weird stuff in the mail. And, you know, we had the episode where the one YouTuber threatened my life for Christmas Eve 2016 in a car crash through 2 walls of the house. Everything that's happened, though, has never been like close. It's just been like fear and intimidation. But again, those are the tactics of the ruling class. They're trying to scare you out of everything. You just got to keep pushing along anyway. What's up, 702?
Hey, Zach. I was just kicking back in the stream watching, and just wanted to call in. Just wanted to stay on topic. Perseverance. It's crazy because kind of in my life right now, I'm dealing with it, and it's crazy because this is the most like knowledge I've learned about Gematria. Like, I've gotten to a point where, like, I literally just do quick breakdowns of things in 2 minutes, but I don't really spend that much time like I used to on breakdowns. But I still like, you know, I still like to do breakdowns. I still like to work on a couple of videos and all. But like, as of right now,
Just real quick. Imagine every NBA fan knew Gematria. What would they have thought yesterday on the 113th day of the year when the Cavs set a record 11 threes in a quarter? Did you see that?
Yeah, I've seen that. It's crazy because I have a lot of people in my family that like to bet, but you know, they don't know what the fuck they're doing because they actually think that the skills of these players matter. So, you know,
just for people out there who don't understand, again, the 113th day of the year, 11 threes in a quarter, new NBA record, 11-3 on the 113th day. In Gematria, the National Basketball Association equals 113. 11 threes is 33 points. Cleveland's the only major city in pro sports that equals 33. Again, this kind of stuff happens day after day. He's just saying he does these 2-minute decodes all the time. I mean, you can do 5-second decodes if you know the numbers and just laugh at the headlines almost in real time as they come across the screen. But go ahead, friend.
Oh yeah, yeah, basically. But like, I got to a point where I was trying to share Gematria to people, but nobody really cared for it. Like even like, cause I really focus, like I really look into Gematria just because I'm always fascinated by like language and just numbers and just how this language even came to be before I even knew about any of this knowledge. And so, I really just like Gematria for the sense of just, just seeing how everything around us unfolds. And it's ironic because like my mom, she knows I'm into this type of stuff, and she calls me a conspiracy theorist. And I live in Vegas, and my mom, she's into the whole pro-black, all that, all that race baiting and all that. And it's funny because she has her license plate literally has 51 on it, nice, and she calls me a conspiracy theorist. So I thought that was pretty ironic. And my mom, she's like so big into Black Power and all that, but she has a nice license plate, like the Knights of Templar and all that. So like even just me knowing this knowledge and me like I just see everything for how it is now. Even like I just have to persevere just being around people around me because not many people around me care about it. It'll be some things they'll look into like the orange goon, for example. Like everybody loves talking about the orange goon. He's their number one puppet right now. So when I talk about Gematria with the orange goon, the 47, 88, all the basic stuff, that's when, I start to get eyes. But other than that, like people don't really care. And, I have a channel. If anyone want to check it out, Hex Hollow. I do my own, I don't really like, I'm not really like that big on decoding sports. I'm not that good at decoding sports because I'm part of your Patreon, so I just sit back, watch the live streams, look at the notes. But like as in like me do like decoding sports like by myself. Now I'm not like quite there yet, but it's always everything through time. But yeah, just and I've had experience where I wanted to self-delete. It was wild like years ago, but my life, I grew up through very somewhat fucked up circumstances, but I guess I could say my best advice to give to the young man is just always this may sound corny, but always just look at the light ahead. Always look at all right, because I heard you mention he was a movie buff. I like movies too, so just always think about all the movies they can remake and all the things they can do and all the things you can do in life rather than, you want to look at things outside of you. Look at things you can do, the talents you have, the people you have in your life that inspire you, vice versa, people you can inspire. That's what I would really say because everybody, no matter who you are, what you believe in or whatnot, everybody has something they can offer to the world and offer to other people. So my advice would just be, find whatever it is in you and just work on it and, keep expanding upon it. But that's really all I would have to give. Just calling in on topic and yeah, don't want to take so much of your time. You have other callers, you have your family and yeah, so congratulations on all that as well.
Well, I appreciate your call. I thought that was great advice at the end. So thank you. You have a good night, friend.
All
right, take care.
You as well.
Yeah, it's a reminder. My favorite author, Kurt Vonnegut, he tried to take himself out, and it was a failed attempt. And I'd say thankfully so, because he went on to write many more great books. And it does seem that a lot of the people who want to take themselves out tend to be the more intelligent, artsy, creative types. People who are disappointed in their fellow man. And I know our friend out there that needs a hand. He definitely is in that same group right there. What's up, 248?
Hey Zach, I don't. If you don't mind, I would like to do a quick decode.
Oh, sure.
Did you hear about the Gilbert Arenas' son was involved in a car accident today?
Yeah, he's 43, the 14th prime, and coma equals 14. His son's in a coma is what I heard.
Yeah, coma also equals 76. You know, like slave, Negro, Rasta blues.
Okay. 14. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Remember Obama and slave both equal 14 and 31. Like slave, Obama and slave both equal 14 and 31. And again, Obama declared his presidency on the 31st anniversary of the feds recognizing slavery. And as we know, Barack Obama also equals 76. And it goes with Acts 7:6 in the 44th book of the Bible and what you were just saying. But anyway, go ahead. Let's hear the rest of the decode.
yeah, I've seen a lot of articles like put emphasis on induced coma, and so I put it in the GematriaEffectNews, and it came out at 61 to 18 prime, and his son is currently 18 years old. This car crash is also 35. You know, happens to be a Thursday, which also equates to 35.
And again, we're in the middle of the playoffs. Gilbert Arenas was once a big star in the league, and then I forget exactly what happened. They started saying like what he had illegal guns or something. He was having some kind of mental breakdown, and he was like quickly out of the league. But he was a pretty big star while he was in it. And again, just funny business always happening when the playoffs and the championships come around. So, was there anything else? 248.
No, I was still researching at this point.
Okay, yeah, I got to
That's
give it a
all I
look
got so
too.
far.
I didn't get a chance to really look at it beyond just the crash and the coma.
Hey, well, thanks for everything you do. See you on the Patreon.
All right, man. Sounds good. Thank you.
Tomorrow.
Thanks for
Thank you. Have a good
supporting the
night.
work. Yeah, you have a good night too. Thank you. I feel like Patreon's playing some game right now because people will sign up and then I lost over 100 people on the Patreon this past week. It was going back up and then it had a huge fall off. Now, I do think a big part of the fall off had something to do with episode 3. Or what was that, episode 2, losing your religion last Sunday night? People really hate when you go against the religion. So many people are so indoctrinated with the religion. And like I said, man, it's just like even the young guy that we're doing this stream in tribute to tonight, religion. The girl he's in love with, they're good friends, him and this girl. She's into him. It's just the parents make the decisions. They're from a different religious block than he is. And the parents look down on the religious sect that he's in. It's crazy, right? It's like, okay, you have a daughter. He's a very intelligent man. They have a nice relationship. They're interested in each other. They like to spend time together. But because his family's a different religion. Oh boy, it's just okay. The make-believe nonsensical stuff that got passed down from the generations. That's what's actually more important than the fact that these two have chemistry and a good relationship. No, we want to put you with a strange man who you've never met before because he's from the same religion as us. Oh, man. It's I don't know. If I was ever going to self-delete, it's because these people just can't see through this religious crap. It drives me nuts. Yeah, Breakfast of Champions, hilarious book, Kurt Vonnegut. And they made it into a movie. The movie doesn't do the book justice at all. And Bruce Willis, come on, Bruce Willis was not the right character for that role. Unbelievable. Marty says, read Kurt Vonnegut's son's book. Mark Vonnegut wrote The Eden Express. Perfect for those in exactly the situation we are discussing this evening. A great book. I actually have not read that. I'm going to have to look that up, Marty. Kurt Vonnegut's son's book. Eden Express. All right, I'm going to say last call for phone calls. If you would like to be part of this stream and get something out there, help out people that are feeling down in despair, now is the time, or you'll have to hold your peace until the next stream on Sunday night. So, and by the way, I decided to rebrand 2 times in one day. My main channel has been rebranded as Number Games, like my book title. Number Games with Zachary K. Hubbard. Figured that made more sense as I have a book with that title. And we'll do the daily number breakdown here. And we'll try to make this more of a call-in show with a general topic night after night. What's up, Joey?
Yo, I just wanted to call in and rant about how much I fucking hate the cabal
Okay.
and just fucking. But for real, I like the Florida Panthers both nights because of this knowledge, and just the things they do is just so undeniable.
Well, here, just so you guys, for the second year in a row, the NBA and NHL playoffs started on the same day. It had never happened before last year. Now it's happened 2 years in a row. But interestingly enough, both in the NBA and the NHL, home teams came in tonight 12-4 in the playoffs. That was for the NBA and the NHL. And funny enough, Florida equals 124, and Florida was playing on the road in the first game on the slate of the night in the NHL, and they won. And we had a good hunch that they would because. Last night, we liked the Capitals making home teams 11-3 on the 113th day of the year, and then Dallas playing on the road in the next game where Dallas equals 113. We thought that was an indicator that Dallas would win last night with home teams coming in 11-3, which happened. And before that, we thought home teams would get to 10-1 before the Panthers playing on the road because Panthers equals 101, and then the Panthers would win. So yeah, you learn this knowledge. You see how all of the games are scripted and structured together, and how they're following these league-wide patterns. But anyway, go ahead, Joey.
Yeah, going to your 124, Florida, of course, is 124, but Tampa Bay has stayed on 124 postseason wins all time.
Yeah.
And tonight they got shut out. Shutout equals 124.
Good one. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
There's that, but the I want to just show what I found for So I liked them game one because you know how the number or the gematria for game is like pretty big. Like game equals 26, 17, and 82.
Sure.
Well, the Florida Panthers in game one, they got their 26th win on the road all time in the postseason, 82 days after their coach's birthday, and it had on a 17-date numerology. So I was like, you have these three values for game, that's gonna hit, and that hit. And then for fucking tonight is the riddle I found for tonight was fucking just ridiculous. Of course, hockey equals 31, and 31 is the 11th prime, and NHL equals 11th. So how perfect is that? But tonight, the Florida Panthers, they got their 520th win on the road all time. 11,520 days after Florida's first game versus Tampa Bay.
Okay.
So you have the 11, yeah,
and the
the
520.
11 and then the 520.
Yeah, pretty interesting.
Just ridiculously perfect scripts. It's ridiculous.
All right. But also way off topic. But anyway, appreciate it, Joey. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, take care. Comments in the chat from religious people. For the religious guy, look at how nothing you said is logical. I don't expect logic from religious people. Again, point blank period. Man writes books. God doesn't. Saying that I don't understand Hebrew, so again, that doesn't have anything to do with anything. Religion is bullshit. If you have intelligence, you know religion's bullshit. Dogma is bullshit. Point blank, period. There's no proof of any of these religions being relevant or existing. There's all kinds of proof of them needlessly causing division in people, stunting people's development, people giving up their own power. Religion is trash. It is literally trash, okay? It doesn't matter if I know Hebrew or not. If you have common sense, you know that God does not write books. Man does. Super simple, super intuitive, something a child can understand. And for all the delusions in your head from your religion, again, when you put thoughts in there, you might tend to start having silly beliefs, thinking that this was some kind of proof of that. It's like when a little child watches a scary movie. Then in the shadows, they see those monsters everywhere and they think those monsters are real because it's in their head. They watch the scary movie, they have the idea in their head. Now, every little creepy thing in the night reminds them of that monster. The creak in the house as the wood settles sounds like the monster coming up the steps. The shadow in the corner of their eye looks just like the monster. Again, this is the power of putting ideas in people's heads and how those ideas can manifest. Religion. The bottom of the barrel. The worst thing on earth. Religion. And for all of you who don't see it, it's because you're not thinking clearly. In fact, you're just not thinking. Otherwise, it would be so obvious to you. Religion is trash. Trash. Look at the biggest liars and frauds on the world stage. They all tend to be religious. I remember when I bought my first house, I had this guy come knock on my door, some con man salesman, and he wanted to put gutters on the house. And I was living in the Pacific Northwest, a lot of big trees around. Gutter guards and these types of things are common. But again, and keep in mind, I'd worked in real estate and done a lot of appraisals, not quite the same as an inspector, but also not too far off. This guy walks around my house, because I said, sure, go ahead. He came to the door. He wanted to do a quote for gutters, and he's out there for 10, 15, 20 minutes. I forget what it was, but he comes back to the door and he goes, listen, I got to tell you, and I want you to know up front, I am a God-fearing man. I believe in Jesus. If you don't get your gutters replaced, I'm telling you, you're going to have major rot. Your walls are going to be coming down. And just how he had to say the whole Jesus thing as he went into this total bullshit, major exaggeration. I said, now, is your assessment because of the back room on the porch that the previous owners put over it, or is this based on all of the gutters around the house? He goes, well, yeah, I'm mostly looking at that back room there. So I said, so then you're exaggerating about the rest of the gutters. He goes, well, you know, if you got that problem there, it could be the rest too. And I said, well, I'm aware of the back room. I'm actually going to tear it down. I just moved into the house, and the previous owner had built this sunroom over the deck, and it wasn't done right, and the roof was already leaking. It was obvious. I knew it was a bad thing when I bought the house, but the house was such a good deal, I didn't care about that. I had plans to tear that down. But just the fact that he has to come with the whole religious crap and the Jesus thing and then try to sell me a whole load of BS and sell me some overpriced gutters, it's just, had I been one of the flock members, I might have been like, oh, wow, you believe in Jesus? Oh, man, I'm glad you came here because I was just about to lose my whole house if you didn't. No, this is what religion is used for, to manipulate people, to use them, to abuse them. This is its purpose. It's like it was invented by con men to con people. It's really the true purpose of religion. It is a trick by con men. And again, just anytime you religious people are in the comments saying whatever it is that you have on your mind, you just always sound dumb. How can you try to take me away from my religion when you don't speak Hebrew? The hell does that have to do with anything? Religion's bullshit. Again, if you were born into some other family in some other part of the world, you'd have some other religious belief. Whatever family you're born into is more than likely what religion you're a part of. And you probably look at all the other religions of the world and think they're total bullshit, except for the one that you're a part of, which is like, okay, can you not see it's just your ego? Can you not just see it's your ego that makes you think your religion's important while all the other ones are bullshit? What's so hard about this? It really is the most depressing thing about humanity. The fact that people, again, it's sad. It's like, if you met a 40-year-old and he told you he believed in Santa Claus, you'd think, is this guy a loser? You still believe in Santa at age 40? Really? But are any other religious beliefs really any different than Santa? No, they're not. They're literally not. In fact, you could say it's even worse because at least if you have a mall in your neck of the woods, you probably get to see Santa for a month of the year. You'll at least see Santa 1 month every year. He's in every mall. That's more than you're ever going to see a Jesus or any of these other made up spiritual figures. And again, I do think there is a creator. Something came from nothing. I do see signs in the world that there is a creator. I'm not an atheist, but at the same time, like I said, I think the world would be better off if we all were atheists. Because look at all the dumb stuff people attribute to God. God saved the chump. Yeah, man, God had him turn to talk about the illegal immigration statistics just in time so his ear only got nicked. It's like, no. Nope, the thing's an obvious hoax, and you got to be dumber than dumb to not see that. And then to think God appointed this horrible man, the proud pussy grabber? You think God sent this man? This is a guy who wants to have sex with his own daughter. He's on. What was the girl he was talking about years ago? You guys can look up the clip. He's talking about a 10-year-old girl. It's a 10-year-old girl where he is, and he says, "You see that 10-year-old girl over there? In 10 years, I'll be dating her." I can't remember what he was on, but it was when he was younger on TV. It's like from 20 years ago. Trump sees a 10-year-old girl while he's on TV, and he goes, "You see that 10-year-old girl over there? In 10 years, I'm going to be dating her." Who's looking at 10-year-old girls and thinking about their future prospects with having sex with them other than a super creep? And this is the same guy that wants to have sex with his own daughter. He also has rhetoric about that when she's younger. Again, religion blinds people. It makes them do crazy things, think crazy things. It keeps them away from reason. Oh, man. Okay. Yeah. Again, you can't reason with religious people either. They're so devout in their nonsense. Okay. Sorry. Sorry. I got to get rid of you, buddy. Adios. He's crying about me calling out religion, and then he's calling me the crybaby in the chat. I'm sorry. You're out of here. No, I'm not the crybaby. You're the one whining about what I said about religion being bullshit, and it is. And it's obvious that you're part of the Saturday crew, which are the biggest crybabies on earth. Let's just be honest. You guys are crying about everything. Only we matter. Only our genocide matters. We need a new movie about our genocide every Christmas Eve. God, to call me a crybaby. Jesus. Yeah, you come from the tribe of the biggest crybabies on earth. Yeah, part of the crew that wants to undermine the First and Second Amendment. If you just want to get down to the facts. But yeah, anyway, to close out with what this stream's about. The world, it is a messed up place. And you got to be tough and you got to have thick skin. And when things don't go your way and bad stuff happens, again, time does heal. Perseverance will help you get through it. Good things will happen again in life. And again, patience, perseverance. Two big P words. Two words that everybody should make part of their existence. If you can work on your patience and you can work on your perseverance, it will serve you well in this life. So, all right. Yeah, rather than read the chat, I'm just going to end the stream, the chat. more often than not is a migraine. So, yeah, for our friend out there, if you are out there, again, persevere, friend. The world has a lot of good things to offer you, and you have a lot of good things to offer the world. And again, for anybody who is thinking about taking themselves out, remember, um, think about all the people that might be horribly impacted by that as well, and ask yourself if that's worth it. And also, there might be some people that you don't even realize how much they care about you or how much they admire you, and how many more people you might meet that you might do the exact same thing for. So, yeah, again, just one other thing that I want to reiterate is I have noticed a lot of the people in this world who have taken themselves out or tried to do so, they tend to be the more intelligent, the more artistic, the more creative, and really the more necessary people on this earth. Um, it can be challenging times for the most intelligent because we do live in an idiocracy. Most people are not very bright, a lot of dimwits, a lot of low IQs, a lot of low talents, a lot of underachievers. And it can be maddening to have to coexist with these people. But again, look at the other side of that and realize that you're one of the special ones. You're one of the people that makes the world a little more bright. And that's why you're all the more necessary as well. So, somebody's comment as I'm wrapping up reminds I used to work at a teen homeless shelter, and a woman who worked there, she was someone who was a cutter. Her whole arm was, I don't even know how many scars were on her arm. It was crazy. I'd never seen anything like that, honestly. She was a little bit older than me, and she'd done that to herself when she was younger, and now she was a therapist for, you know, the young people that were at the homeless shelter. And, uh, because she survived, the young people saw what was on her arm and they knew her life experience and they could identify with her just through that. But she also had the story of why it's better to not do that and persevere and see what life has to offer. And I know that that woman was married with children at that point. She'd found happiness, she'd found a family, and she became a counselor and helped out young people who were going through the things she once went through. So, yeah, I hope that becomes our friend's story too. That he meets the right one, he has himself a nice family, and he goes on to do wonderful things for other people with his big bright mind. So, all right, yeah, all right. I'm done reading the chat and I'm done with this stream. Everybody have a good night. If you're in the other part of the world, have a good day. And until next time, True Seeker.